What's going on, everybody? We have some recent news to talk about here today. We have a date for the spot Ethereum ETFs. We have news that Mt. Gox is moving some crypto around. We've got news of a crypto-friendly vice president pick. And looking at Wgmi's stock heat map, you'll see that in general, Bitcoin miners are pretty mixed today. We have some doing very well, like Cypher, SDIG up pretty nicely today. CleanSpark, Mara up as well. We do have some names down. We have Iron down right now as of this upload. Hive, BitDeer, Applied Digital. But if you guys are interested in looking at this heat map, I know it doesn't show all the Bitcoin miners, but I will leave it down below for you. But this is basically Wgmi. It's a Bitcoin mining ETF. It also holds stocks like Nvidia. And one thing I like about it is their heaviest weighting is CleanSpark. Now, we had some recent news that Mt. Gox moved $3 billion worth of Bitcoin. And this is obviously part of their repayment plan to creditors. They did begin repaying their debt starting July 4th. And you know, this can definitely put some downward pressure, some sell pressure on Bitcoin. The positive is, think about this. Just in the last week or so, we saw nearly $1 billion come into the spot Bitcoin ETFs. To think that the spot Bitcoin ETFs, along with other buy side pressure, isn't going to absorb this over the following weeks to months. Of course, this could bring prices lower, but to think that over the midterm, this isn't going to get absorbed and Bitcoin isn't going to go much higher, well, I don't know what to tell you then. And look at this, funny enough, the day that Mt. Gox began their repayments is basically the day that we bottomed out. You'll see that on the 4th of July, apparently the first day that they started repaying creditors, Bitcoin came down all the way to 55,000. And shortly after that, we did break out of this downtrend. You saw a huge reversal. We did find a resistance at the 50 MA, and we're basically currently right at it right now. One thing that's positive that we did see is while we were setting lower highs and lower lows, we did break out of that, and we did set a new higher high. You'll see that we did break above this level here. What we really need to do is reclaim the 50 MA, and I'm personally expecting, I should say, that we are going to trade kind of somewhat of an upward channel. We just got out of this descending channel. We just came from oversold. We just came from a bullish divergence. We saw the RSI starting to rise, showing momentum building, while the price was lower, coming lower. This is an RSI divergence, and it does look like it's playing out beautifully. And I'm just making a bold prediction that I think we are going to follow this channel. Who knows what we really do, but I do think we are setting a new direction here. And most of the short-term fear is over. Now, do we come down and revisit some lower levels like 60,000? Of course we could, and this wouldn't even invalidate this ascending channel. And you know, maybe this sell-side pressure from Mt. Gox, the upcoming Genesis selling as well, maybe this does bring us a little lower. But you know, in my opinion, these are the times you take advantage of. You take advantage of the fear. When I heard that we were as fearful here at 55,000 as we were at 15,000, to me it made it clear that it was a big buying opportunity. You don't get these opportunities very often. A lot of things are playing out wonderfully in Bitcoin's favor. First off, we have Larry Fink, very, very bullish on Bitcoin, over $10 trillion in assets under management, and he's sort of crediting the recent growth in assets under management to their spot Bitcoin ETFs. And it's not just from a hedge fund, big institutional investor standpoint with Bitcoin. We also have people in big positions of power getting bullish on Bitcoin. Opinions on politics aside, we know that Trump is supposedly bullish on Bitcoin. We have recent news here that Donald Trump's vice president pick, JD Vance, is a Bitcoin believer, is a Bitcoin bull. And while it's a positive that he does have Bitcoin, and obviously the fact that he has Bitcoin makes him somewhat of a Bitcoin bull, in reality, compared to his overall net worth, the Bitcoin holdings is a very small portion. It's anywhere from 100 to 250,000. And his net worth is estimated around 3.75 to like 10.5 million. So this is a very small position when you consider that. But you know, this is a positive, seeing people in power embracing Bitcoin, being bullish on Bitcoin, seeing it as a hedge against a terrible economy, seeing it as sort of digital gold, digital property, as Michael Saylor says. We also have some Ethereum news, and as a side note, Ethereum has been pumping along with Bitcoin, recently outperforming Bitcoin, and I do expect that to continue. The SEC has given preliminary approval to at least 3 ETH ETF issuers. BlackRock, Franklin Templeton, and Van Eck have reportedly received preliminary approval from the U.S. securities regulator. It is expected that the SEC will officially approve the S1s next Monday, which allows the spot ETH ETFs to officially start trading on Tuesday, July 23rd. One thing I want to show you guys with Ethereum is I really want to zoom out here and show you a long-term trend it's been following. And you can go all the way back to 2020 and you'll see this trend reign true. There is a support line on ETH that it has been following for over 4 years now. And if you look way into the future, into like 2026, 2027, where we're supposed to have a bear market if you follow the 4-year cycle, this shows Ethereum being right around 3,000 to 3,500 at the worst of the bear market. So to me, downside risk for Ethereum is very low. That is, if this long-term ascending support holds up, which I do expect it to. I do fully believe that Ethereum will continue to appreciate in value. While it is at times inflationary, there are other times that it is deflationary. There's other times that the token burn more than makes up for the newly issued tokens out there. And I am very bullish on Ethereum for the long term. One thing that's happening to Ethereum, just like Bitcoin, is it is finding resistance at the 50 MA. And recently it bottomed out at like 2800, which was a previous level of support and a previous resistance point that we did have a clear reaction on when we broke out of it. If we somehow head back towards 3000, it will be a great buying opportunity. I don't think we're going to. I do think Ethereum is going to pump into these spot Ethereum ETFs. I almost said spot Bitcoin. And that's my expectation. I do expect this to continue to pump into approval. Maybe there's an initial sell-off after, a buy the rumor, sell the news event, but we have to see the rumor being bought first. And over the next week or so, that could be what we see. A push towards 4,000, if not above it, would not surprise me. I also want to give CleanSpark a quick look. You'll see this long-term trend that we've been following, this kind of a broadening pattern. We have found this as resistance multiple times, and we have found this support level as support multiple times. And we actually just recently bounced over it. One thing that's a bit concerning is we do have a gap here to potentially fill from 16 to about 1670 or so, right under the 50 MA. Say goodbye to the breakaway gap. We are not filling it. I've said this a million times, and I highly doubt we are going to fill that gap from the 10 to 12s, and I'm sticking to it. This 16 gap is another story. Maybe we head back down. Maybe we don't. Might want to sell some puts towards that price or set some limit buy orders if we do get it. Otherwise, I do expect CleanSpark to continue working its way up. A break over 20 would be very bullish. Better yet, a break over 21. 20 is the psychological level, but 21 is a previous resistance on the chart. The great thing is, because of all this consolidation, CleanSpark has plenty of room to run before becoming overextended on the RSI. If the market wants to, it can definitely take it towards 30. One reason I'm so bullish on CleanSpark, along with their great efficiency, is their massive revenue growth. Believe it or not, there are other miners that haven't even seen the revenue they saw in the last cycle. CleanSpark has far exceeded it. CleanSpark has had record quarter after record quarter in terms of revenue, quite consistently over most of this year. And despite the halving coming along, despite some of these miners, most all of these miners, let's face it, being very likely to post an unprofitable quarter in the upcoming quarter, maybe the next one, I do still expect many of these miners to post profitability. We're going to see this crazy revenue growth, and we are going to see a lot of profitable Bitcoin miners at the end of this cycle. We just got through the halving, and this is the first quarter all these miners are going to report that encompasses the halving, which took the rewards in half. It is expected to see these miners kind of have a weak quarter. What's going to be most important is forward guidance. What's the next quarter going to be like compared to this quarter? Of course, this quarter compared to last is going to look ugly. These miners just got through rewards being cut in half. What's really important is what is the upcoming quarter? What is the forward guidance? And how does that compare to what they're about to report here? What I expect from many is expectations of upcoming profitability. Maybe forward guidance doesn't guide that, but I do expect by the end of this year into early 2025, we are going to see a lot of Bitcoin miners expecting profitability again. And we didn't see these Bitcoin miners profitable last cycle before the halving. This is a first this cycle. That is one reason why I'm so bullish on these miners. I do expect many to be very profitable this cycle. And we have seen very good glimpses of that so far. But what say you guys? Are we going to see these Bitcoin miners posting profitability, or are the best days behind us? To me, this is still the time to be in Bitcoin, still the time to be in the Bitcoin miners, and still the time to be laser focused on the end goal. Politicians are warming up to Bitcoin. Institutional investors are warming up to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is in. Bitcoin is a part of Wall Street and it is not going away. You can either play the 4-year cycle game or you can play the long game. I think either is a great strategy. One day the 4-year cycles won't play out potentially, but I do not think that time has come yet. I do think we are going to top out sometime in 2025 and we will see some sort of correction. It might not be like a 70-80% correction like we've seen in the past, but maybe it'll be somewhere around a 40, 50, maybe 60% correction. Remember, crypto is still somewhat speculative. It is still very volatile. Thanks again for watching, guys. Hopefully you got something useful out of this. I appreciate your support as always, and I'll see you next time.